Under New Mexico's vast azure heavens, a silent war is waged not by arms, but by barren wallets and shattered hopes. Beyond the allure of the plateaus and broad sands, stand folks and ladies, hauling all their possessions in a sack, hunting for refuge, for security, for respect. The crimson soil might share tales of heritage and tradition, yet now it likewise shares tales of hardship households, dozing in vehicles, ex-soldiers on walkways, youths adrift in substance abuse.
I started throwing up. I literally can't, I can't breathe. Like, that shit makes me I'm throwing up and I can't stop because your empty stomach, you don't eat. You just keep going, you want to smoke, and I just have empty stomach, so I get acid reflux and I'm throwing up and nothing's coming out. I'm just, it's called heat driving. You're just, your
stomach just pumping.
This isn't merely a New Mexico issue. It's a piece of a larger query confronting every one of us. What does it mean to be homeless in America? The numbers behind the crisis. Figures on paper might seem impersonal, yet in New Mexico they resonate strongly when we pay attention. The latest point-in-time count during early 2024 documented around 4,649 individuals facing homelessness throughout the state. It's an impressive statistic for an area famed for expansive terrain and modest populations, plus over half of those lacking housing reside in Albuquerque, the state's biggest city. From this cohort, more than 1,200 were resting outside beneath overpasses in green spaces or in vehicles, whereas some secured short-term spots in refugees or interim facilities. Nevertheless, even these stats fail to convey the complete burden of the situation. Specialists concur that homelessness tallies represent moments quick looks at a turmoil that changes every day. Medical centers and health facilities statewide logged almost 3,900 encounters with unhoused individuals from 2019 through 2023. Such encounters suggest a far bigger, largely invisible group existing without essentials. Plenty steer clear of official refuges. Certain ones shift non-stop among family and acquaintances, while some fall entirely through cracks in the framework. Every overlooked tally represents someone whose requirements remain undocumented, complicating resource allocation and support even further. Central to this turmoil lies a dwelling deficit too vast to overlook. The state lacks over 32,000 budget-friendly residences, while Albuquerque by itself requires about 20,000 extra dwellings to fulfill needs. Such shortfall strands countless in uncertainty, vying for insufficient spots as housing costs climb and incomes fall short. Once the base of residence vanishes, all additional issues like psychological well-being, substance use jobs grow tougher to address. Acknowledging that government officials have advanced with fresh funding, especially $120 million revealed in 2025 for broadening dwellings and support mostly directed to the Albuquerque region. It's an essential step, though it's merely a beginning. Beyond every statistic stand existences community members, former service members, elders, including kids attempting to manage among the toughest truths in a nation offering prospects. To audiences, such figures aren't merely data. They serve as cues that homelessness isn't a vague concern. It's an expanding hurdle emerging right in our neighborhoods. The faces behind the figures. Data might seem like a barrier of digits, yet in New Mexico, every figure connects to an individual bearing a name, a background, and a collection of obstacles invisible in a ledger. Wander from Central Avenue in Albuquerque, and you could spot an elderly gentleman perched silently on a seat. He formerly donned a uniform, defended his nation, and possessed a residence. Today, his possessions pack into one knapsack. Head deeper south to Las Cruces and you could encounter a parent lugging supplies, her young child gripping her fingers firmly. She holds down two positions, though the least devours almost all her income, compelling her household into a refuge after dark. In a section of Doña Ana County sits Camp Hope, a grouping of canopies and improvised havens, where roughly 50 folks assemble as dusk falls. It's not flashy, nor is it remotely secure yet. In this spot, they exchange meals, chuckles, and a feeling of connection. They remain unknowns to the majority of us still. They form tiny, delicate groups, since the other option means isolation. What drives folks to such a stage? Usually it's not one poor choice, but a sequence of events. A vehicle crash sparking endless health costs, a sudden dismissal, a separation, or a property owner hiking the lease out of affordability. Layer on top the burden of unaddressed sadness, worry, or drug dependency, and the descent toward homelessness occurs quicker than folks expect. For individuals who've never endured it, it's tough to envision the routine hardship. Where does one store one's remedies absent a cooler? How does one ready oneself for an employment meeting if one's resting place is a green space seat? Such inquiries aren't hypothetical. They form the truth for those we encounter daily. Moreover, in a nation boasting about chances such existences cue us that wealth isn't distributed fairly. This isn't a vague turmoil. It's a profoundly personal one, playing out along the roads of a region famed for its splendor, yet wrestling with certain of the toughest facts of being homeless in America. The hidden chain of addiction. When we discuss homelessness, addiction always hovers nearby. In New Mexico, it hangs in the backdrop of endless tales, subtle yet impossible to ignore.
The crack high lasted for like 10 to 15 minutes, and then you got to keep like chasing it. It jacks you up. But then when you do meth, crystal meth, it like makes your eyes, your pupils get dilated to the size of tennis balls.
Damn.
Some people, they say they bust like 4 nuts in one when they snort it.
For plenty, narcotics turn into a type of relief, a method to numb hurt, to endure chilly evenings, or to hush recollections too burdensome to bear. Addiction doesn't invariably begin on the pavement, yet existing without cover frequently intensifies it. It erodes security, drives individuals deeper from jobs, kin, and wellness, and all too frequently concludes in solitude. Within these narcotics, fentanyl has surfaced as an especially perilous force. It's tiny, powerful, and ruinous, infiltrating existences with quickness and intensity. Street outreach staff portray it as a hushed current, drawing in folks who are already in distress. It doesn't merely steal vitality, it steals moments, concentration, and the opportunity to reconstruct. The extent of the issue proves tough to gauge, yet plenty reckon that a substantial portion of New Mexico's unhoused group confronts some kind of narcotic reliance. Care proves hindered by location and means. Countryside zones possess scant treatment centers. Urban spots feature extended queues, and initiatives frequently miss secure dwelling choices for healing. Lacking a spot to sleep, how might one dedicate to withdrawal? Lacking care, how might they cling to a residence? Local reactions tend to vary. Certain view addiction as a danger, others as a plea for aid. The prejudice can prove as hurtful as the narcotics in question, shoving folks deeper into obscurity. Yet addiction isn't merely an ethical shortcoming, it's a wellness emergency. It demands approaches that reach folks in their current spots, dwellings paired with care guidance and extended backing. Might such instruments alter the narrative? Might security and cover snap the link? When we talk about being homeless in America, New Mexico reminds us that behind every statistic are battles with substances that are stronger than willpower, and winning those battles requires more than judgment. It requires compassion and real action. Policy's money in the gaps they cannot fill. New Mexico's officials aren't overlooking the turmoil. Indeed, lately, periods have witnessed certain of the region's biggest pledges toward addressing homelessness. During August 2025, authorities revealed a bold initiative, $120 million set aside expressly for dwelling and aid initiatives. Such figures appear striking in print, exceeding $80 million routed to Albuquerque and Bernalillo County, where demand peaks highest, surpassing $11 million set aside for Las Cruces and Doña Ana County. The balance spread over lesser communities and countryside zones frequently neglected in broad state strategies. Such funds target various angles: dwelling building crisis refuges, lease support, and efforts like McKinney-Vento, which strive to maintain kids and youth linked to education despite missing a steady residence. Such outlays count, yet they likewise underscore a grim fact: cash by itself can't resolve the issue. Erecting residences isn't akin to toggling a lever. Every endeavor encounters tiers of oversight and scrutiny. Approval procedures drag on, land use rules tend to be obsolete and limiting. Plus, workforce deficits extend building schedules beyond expectations. Coupled with that, the resistance from localities worried over refugees or low-cost dwelling ventures arriving, plus advancement, may halt prior to launch. There exists, moreover, the magnitude of the hurdle. New Mexico lacks exceeding 32,000 economical residences, plus Albuquerque solely demands circa 20,000. That shortfall won't seal in 12 months or perhaps 24 particularly, since escalating prices for supplies and property hinder each attempt. Moreover, homelessness isn't solely regarding the lack of cover overhead. It connects to profounder strands: unhandled psychological wellness issues, narcotic consumption, scarcity of employment chances, plus frail communal security webs. A fresh flat AIDS scan for an individual battling dependency should care lie beyond grasp. A spot in a refuge won't wipe out years of injury, nor restore earnings forfeited to sickness or dismissals. Thus, the query lingers: should the funds exist, why persist the turmoil in expanding? The reply lies in that dwellings mark the launch spot, not the endpoint. Lacking capital paired with creativity initiatives, tying residences to medical care work, preparation advice, plus neighborhood backing, the outlay hazards turning into a brief patch. New Mexico's hurdle mirrors that confronting numerous regions, bridging the divide amid fine aims and enduring fixes. When a community speaks up, no state initiative, regardless of its generous backing, can tackle homelessness alone. Within New Mexico, the strongest and frequently truest opinions emerge straight from the locals. Religious outfits are unlocking their entrances to supply dinners and cozy spots for repose. Charity entities labor discreetly, providing career prep court aid or urgent lodging coupons. Helpers, everyday locals with packed schedules, Carve out moments to hand out covers, sealed drinks, or a basic chat to folks who tend to stay unseen. Such gestures, minor though they appear, build the core of the region's reaction to homelessness. Yet local reaction isn't invariably cohesive. Certain districts welcome refugees and contact efforts. Others push back strongly, anxious over protection offense and real estate worth. Such worries prove common for a suggested dwelling venture to spark intense arguments during council gatherings. Those fears hold truth, particularly among senior dwellers who recall calmer roads and tighter bound areas. Still, their opinions typically hold an extra dimension, a yearning for feelings of safety and inclusion that seem tougher to locate nowadays. Such strain amid empathy and dread amid backing and self-guarding molds the manner New Mexico handles homelessness along the roadway. Bottom-up drives are plugging holes the region can't. Supply closets operated out of temple cellars prevent households from starving. Court aid centers assist renters battle removals. Wandering health squads deliver essential treatment to tent clusters. Certain outfits, moreover, build small dwelling clusters or interim refuges, like Camp Hope, where individuals might locate short-term steadiness. Such ventures cue us that answers needn't be huge to count. They need to stay steady, nearby, and intimate. Meanwhile, the prominence of homelessness grows sharper. Tent setups have sprung up in green areas by overpasses and right by learning halls, hauling the turmoil into zones that formerly felt immune. Such sight compels districts to grapple with tough inquiries. How might we guard common zones securely while respecting personal worth? How might we assist absent fostering damage? Where lies the boundary amid empathy and responsibility? New Mexico's tale isn't singular. It reflects the fights of numerous regions coping with identical turmoil. Being homeless in America is not only about policy, it is about neighborhoods deciding whether to turn away or lean closer. And in that decision, every meal, every vote, every conversation matters more than we might think. The road ahead, hope or more of the same. Gazing into tomorrow, New Mexico finds itself at a turning point. The homelessness emergency feels genuine and pressing, yet it holds potential for optimism. Officials at state and municipal levels have unlocked pathways for fresh concepts and fresh capital pledging millions toward residents' psychological wellness and neighborhood initiatives. Such measures prove vital, though the doubt persists. Do they suffice to shift the current? Specialists warn that absent daring moves on the root causes budget-friendly dwelling deficits. Flat earnings, restricted entry to medical services and care, the figures could keep climbing despite expenditures. Certain remedies are presently under trial. Unused lodgings are getting converted into economical flats, providing households and persons a spot to claim as residents, minus building from zero. Idle parcels are turning into compact clusters of miniature houses, an economical and swift choice that provides seclusion and protection. Contact squads are striving to blend medical services and guidance straight into dwelling efforts, acknowledging that a resting spot by itself falls short if dependency or psychological disorder goes unaddressed. Albuquerque has established a bold aim to shelter 1,000 individuals by summer 2026. Such an objective merits praise, yet it calls for beyond mere positivity. It needs precise strategy, reliable guidance, and neighborhood backing to sustain drive ongoing. path forward involves a viewpoint, too. Data informs us of magnitude, yet they fail to reveal the identities of such folks. Frequently, the unhoused get minimized to data points or news items, whereas truly they stand as locals, ex-service members, guardians, learners, laborers, everyone bearing narratives of grief, endurance, and aspiration. Transformation commences once we cease viewing homelessness as solely their concern and begin regarding it as our duty. What part might every one of us contribute? Maybe it kicks off via the tiniest deeds, exploring nearby groups, offering hours, contributing funds if feasible, or perhaps just as basic as greeting a person on the sidewalk with courtesy. Neighborhoods form around such motions. Plus, once they expand over a metropolis, over a territory, they forge an element mightier than legislation. They forge inclusion. New Mexico's outlook on such matters remains unwritten still. The instruments exist, the capital approaches, plus the notions lie ready for review. If optimism prevails or status quo endures hinges on if all parties, authorities, neighborhoods, plus persons opt to convert pity into deeds. A personal reflection. What this really means to me. I've strolled along New Mexico's roads during chilly dawns and sensed the bite of that arid gust. I've spotted folks clustered beneath flimsy covers by expressway exits. Their existence is crammed into synthetic sacks, their gazes locked on emptiness and fullness simultaneously. It's not an impression one erases, plus the fact remains the majority of them never imagined they'd arrive at this spot. Certain donned outfits formerly, certain nurtured households settled levees and toiled diligently till a dismissal as sickness or one unexpected turn of events altered it all. Whenever I ponder homelessness, I don't merely ponder figures or initiatives. I ponder individuals, locals who've stumbled from their stance. We frequently discuss legislation like it's remote, yet this matter lies as near as the upcoming signal or market. Beyond each datum stands a person who yet chuckles, yet aspires, yet yearns to connect. What stirs me deepest proves the subtle poise I've witnessed. A fellow sharing portion of his sub to another with even fewer. A parent reciting to her kid within a haven, rendering the evening routine seem routine. Such a sight cues me that being homeless in America is not just about poverty, it's about resilience, about people trying to hold on to the smallest pieces of normal life. I hold that transformation initiates via ourselves, single clasp, single dish, single decision to attend. Should we manage to view such gentlemen and ladies not like outsiders, yet like elements of our collective tale, perhaps that's whenever true transformation commences. Closing thoughts beyond the numbers. New Mexico's homelessness crisis is not merely a policy matter. It is a glass showing the breaks in the social fabric. It reveals what occurs when financial progress abandons certain folks, when dependency receives no care, when shelter gets treated like a product instead of an entitlement. For audiences invested in governance, legislation, and humanity, this serves as a summons to stay alert. Homelessness does not stay limited to major urban centers or seaside regions. It extends to all areas from arid settlements to hilltop hamlets. And within that fact rests the difficulty and the chance. Being homeless in America is not an isolated misfortune. It is a national test of compassion, resilience, and priorities. As we close this chapter, the question remains, will we meet that test, or will the streets continue to tell the stories we choose not to hear?